It's Thursday. That means it's time for a sports Q&A here on the Schleg Daddy TV channel. A reminder again, I do these every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So make sure you go to Twitter, tweet your sports questions to me at pfspot_Schlegel is the Twitter handle to tweet your questions to. Make sure you also check out my NFL team-by-team preview for the 2014 season. Maybe we'll put that playlist link in the description box down below. So check it out. All right, let's get started with the Q&A. Kitties on Crack asks, will you be doing NBA team previews this year? I would put the odds at least 50-50, maybe a little greater than 50-50. We'll see what my interest is in doing them at that time, but at the moment, I would probably say yes, leaning a little more yes than no. But don't pen me in for it yet. Maybe pencil me in for it in very light pencil. But we'll see. I'll let you know if I do decide to do it, though. At James_Izzy15, what do you think about Kevin Love being traded to the Cavs, and who do you think will win the World Series? As far as the World Series question, I would probably go with either Detroit or Oakland at this point in time. I'm not sure which team I would pick. You probably find those picks out for me closer to the actual start of baseball playoffs. As far as Kevin Love being traded to the Cavs, I see why they did it, especially if they're going to have Love agree to a long-term contract extension. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the deal for the Cavaliers. Like I said, Kevin Love, I talked about this in my video saying who should trade for Kevin Love, and I said for the time being, nobody. As I look at Kevin Love, yeah, this is a guy that could score 25 a game, grab you 12 rebounds, but he shoots like 45% from the field, and when a guy is 6'10" and he can't even shoot 50% from the field, I have concerns about the fact that he's just a volume shooter and therefore a scorer on a bad team. Not great defensively. I wonder how he's going to fit in. We'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting. It definitely makes the Cavaliers the interesting team to watch in the Eastern Conference come next season, that's for sure. Real_Jonathan asked, I notice you're a bit harsher on the Chiefs than most AFC teams like your Bears with the NFC. Is it safe to say the Chiefs are your AFC team? I don't have an AFC team. No offense, Jonathan. No offense to anybody else that has multiple teams. I personally, my opinion, think it's ridiculous to have more than one team. I could give two flying flips less about any of the 16 teams in the AFC and 15 of the 16 NFC teams. I am a Bears fan. That's where it begins. That's where it ends. Obviously, I have interest in terms of fantasy football and talking about the league in general, but I only care about the Bears. The reason I'm harsh on the Chiefs is because some of the stuff that they've done deserves to be questioned, and this is also a team that hasn't won a championship in 4.5 decades, so they deserve it. But I'm also harsh on the Jets. Am I not? I'm very harsh on the Cowboys. So I wouldn't say that I'm harsher on the Chiefs just because I did a video talking about Alex Smith and the trade with him and it being history repeating itself, which it is, and I still stand by it. And I find it amazing that so many people wanted to sit there and say, "Nya, nya, nya, boo, boo," afterwards when I accurately predicted that the Chiefs would make the playoffs as a wild card team in Alex Smith's first year there, but not to get fooled and that it didn't really mean anything long term. So if anything, that video vindicated me, didn't make me look like an ass, but people choose not to listen sometimes to the things that are actually said. But no, I'm harsh on the Chiefs because they deserve that harshness to a degree, Am I harder on them than I would be, let's say, the Jets or in particular the Cowboys? Yeah, I don't know about that. Nick Cool134 asked, with Richard Sherman being on the Madden 15 cover, do you think that the Madden curse will happen to Sherman? I suppose there's always that possibility, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, does that mean that the Seahawks are going to go back to the Super Bowl and win it this year? No, and I don't think that'll be the case at all. But I don't know that Richard Sherman individually will suffer from a Madden curse. Derek Williams 4 asked, who do you think will make the playoffs first, the Oakland Raiders or the Cleveland Browns? I actually will go with the Cleveland Browns. I think they've got more overall talent on both sides of the ball on their roster, in particular some young talent that I do particularly like. And if Manziel, develops into a franchise quarterback, I think they have an easier path to the playoffs than the Oakland Raiders. Men God 45 asks, who do you think will have the bigger impact, Julius Peppers for the Packers or Jared Allen for the Bears? I'm not sure how much impact either one of them will have, but I would go with Jared Allen for the Bears because I know Jared Allen will fit the defensive scheme that the Chicago Bears will be running in 2014. And I know even if his skills have started to decline, which I believe they have over the past 2 seasons, he is a guy that at times can take over the game. He is a guy at times that can just impose his will as a pass rusher, something that Julius Peppers never frankly did in his 4 seasons in Chicago. And now with Peppers playing in Green Bay, as that kind of elephant end or that big monster linebacker in the 3-4. I'm not sure about the schematic fit, and I don't think he's the type of pass rusher that the Packers need for their system. So I'll go with Jared Allen for the Bears. C-Staff95 asks, who's the best Chicago team right now? The Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, White Sox, or Cubs? Wouldn't it have to be the Blackhawks? I mean, you might want to sit there and say the Bulls. If you're drunk, you might say the Bears, but it sure as hell isn't the Cubs. It sure as hell isn't the White Sox, and the Blackhawks have won, 2 Stanley Cups over the past 5-6 years? I think you got to go with the Chicago Blackhawks. They're the team that's most likely to win more championships out of any team in Chicago. At Duke THS asks, why is there so little faith in E.J. Manuel? He's only had 1 season in the NFL, and everyone I know hates the guy. That's a good question. I think a lot of people are quick to pass judgment on him, and I think somewhat unfairly. I do have my concerns because when he was coming out of college, I saw some elements of Dante Culpepper in his game, but also some bad elements of Dante Culpepper in his game too, in terms of if he started suffering injuries with E.J. Manuel. He had a couple of knee injuries last season. He's already a bigger guy to begin with. Would he get fat if he had a couple of knee injuries? Would he get like Dante Culpepper fat? No, we'll see. He was a part of a weak 2013 draft class, so that most certainly didn't help. A lot of people didn't envision him being drafted in the first round, even though I did. I didn't envision him going number 16, though. But so there's a lot of things. And he's in Buffalo, and he's not one of the sexy names like the Lux or the Wilsons or the Newtons or the Kaepernicks. I think our RG3s, I think that plays a role in it, but I think people need to give him more time, at least let him show one way or another whether or not he could be the guy before you fully bury him. Fulia Georgian 1 asked, who do you think will be a surprise Super Bowl winner in the next few years? Surprise Super Bowl winner in the next few years. St. Louis Rams. I think they've got a lot of the pieces in place to have a future championship team. I'm not sure if they have the quarterback at this point in time, but I think that's a team that in a couple of years could surprise everybody and win a Super Bowl. Chris is nice asks, I'm a Giants fan and some Jets fans keep shitting on the Giants. What should I say to them so they shut up? Oh, where do I begin? I would just tell you to reference them to me and let me bury them for you. Oh, but let's see here. The same Jets organization. Oh, crap. What was it? They took Johnny Lamb Jones, number 2 overall in 1980. The same organization that took Ken O'Brien over Dan Marino in 1983. The same organization that hasn't won a Super Bowl or made it to a Super Bowl since the 1968 season. The Jets have 1 Super Bowl victory that happened at a time when most current Jets fans weren't even alive yet. Your Giants have won 4 Super Bowl championships in my lifetime. That ends the discussion right there. Period. The Giants won the Super Bowl a couple of seasons ago. When was the last time the Jets made the Super Bowl? Oh, that's right. 1968. It's that inferiority complex that the Jets fans have because their organization is the shits, and it has been for years. They play second fiddle because they are second fiddle. They're treated like second rate because they are second rate, and that is an unequivocal fact. You take Kyle Brady instead of Warren Sapp. Jeff Lageman drafting Blair Thomas. I could go on and on and on, making fun of the Jets and their fans all day long, and they know I'm right. There's no real counter to it other than the butthurt, you're stupid, how about your Bears? Well, at least the Bears have made it to 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime, and hell, even won one. Just saying. J.H. Mills 22 asks, who's the greatest baseball player in the history of the game? From a sheer 5'2" all-around standpoint, I always felt that Willie Mays is the gold standard and still is to this day. In terms of the greatest player of all time, though, it's Babe Ruth's world. I know some people will use the fact that he played in a segregated game against him. Okay, so let's say that he played in a fully integrated game, and let's say you take away 15 or 20% of his production. He's still an all-time great player, and statistically, he'd probably still be the greatest player of all time. I mean, Babe Ruth changed the game. Babe Ruth dominated like no baseball player ever had before or ever has since. To give you kind of an idea of Babe Ruth's dominance during his time as a player, if Barry Bonds in his roided up season of 2001 when he hit 73 home runs to equal the dominance of Babe Ruth when he hit, I believe it was it 1919 or 1920, 21, something like that, where he hit like 59 home runs, for the level of dominance to equate, Bonds would have had to hit over 200 home runs. No, Babe Ruth is the greatest baseball player of all time. The man's been dead for close to 70 damn years now, and people still talk about Babe Ruth. I'm just saying. Alex Shirley 10 asks in this last question to close out this Q&A, which Chiefs running back is the best one when healthy? Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, or Jamal Charles? I'll throw Larry Johnson out because I don't think he was the best. So it comes down to Priest Holmes or Jamal Charles. I think Jamal Charles is a little more explosive in terms of as an all-around player. I think Priest Holmes is a better ball carrier, so I guess it depends on what you really like or prefer in a player. But man, Priest Holmes had some beastly years for the Kansas City Chiefs. So at this point in time, I might still have to lean towards Priest Holmes, although I don't think Jamal Charles is that far away. I'd still go with Priest at this point. Thanks again to all of you that submitted your questions for this Q&A. I'll be back again Sunday to do another one. Oh, the NFL season's only a few weeks away. Got a lot more videos still to come on this channel all month long, so stay tuned.